So we might well ask, what good are the scripts? From fairy tales to romantic fiction and films, we learn them early and often. And with so much cultural currency, we might expect them to at least promote our enjoyment of sex. Despite their costs, they might have some benefits, in other words. However, my colleague Diana Sanchez finds that both genders suffer from low arousal and orgasm achievement if they perform gender in the bedroom. The reason why is because they suffer from low spontaneity, which decreases the ability to let things flow and allow nature to take its course. So it's like anything. If you're pretending to be something you're not, or if you're acting out of part, then it's difficult to feel spontaneous and just let it rip, right? Indeed, the sex act itself echoes gender stereotypes. The man actively thrusts while the woman passively receives during what's called a missionary position or traditional intercourse. In fact, back in the days of Victorian England, women were explicitly told to lie back and think of England. In other words, ladies, you're not expected to enjoy this, but if you're going to have kids for the sake of the country, then lie back and think of England. So this has huge implications for female pleasure because only 30% of women can orgasm in the traditional missionary position, right? 70% need oral or manual stimulation. Nonetheless, media portrayals, notice this when you're watching a film or a TV show. The way sex is portrayed on film is that female pleasure almost always corresponds with male pleasure. That is, women are shown that as if they're orgasming at the same time that men are orgasming from the same intercourse action. And because that almost never happens, this can make most women feel abnormal. What's wrong with me? She seems to be having a good time. And it leaves women with two really awful choices: fake it or be honest and risk making your man feel inadequate for not giving you pleasure. And there is research showing that men do feel bad if women are not having an orgasm during sexual intercourse. The third choice is to learn about your own physiology and teach your lover what you need. And I hope this is more commonplace now than it was in my grandmother's day or even in my day. I was about 12 years old when I remember reading a Dear Abby advice column in which she advised wives to fake having an orgasm and to never admit to their husbands that they did. What Dear Abby failed to teach was why women have trouble with orgasm simply through intercourse. It's really biological. It's due to the placement of the organ of pleasure, i.e. the clitoris, far enough away from the point of contact, i.e. the vagina, that it might as well be a million miles away. Laura Kipnis has dubbed this the clitoris vagina fiasco. Luckily, science has given us one of the best solutions: technology and the orgasm. Rachel Meehan's book with this amusing title is very entertaining, and it's a revealing history of vibrators. So we have to go back to the Greeks to begin. For centuries, women were thought to suffer from womb disease because they did not ejaculate. Womb disease manifested in numerous ways, including headaches, irritability, and hysteria caused by pent-up fluid, right? Women did not ejaculate, so all that pent-up fluid must be backed up, clogging their system, and then it manifests in lots of different ways, including hysteria. The cure was called hysterical paroxysm, which is a code name for orgasm, for which women were literally sent to doctors at least once a week. And because it was considered unseemly for women to masturbate, doctors had to do it for them. Here's an ad for Dr. Swift's cure for hysteria. You can pause the video and read all of it if you like, but I'll just point out that it's pretty obvious what he's doing, what it is that he's massaging in this ad. Now, you might well ask, where were the husbands? If it was so simple to provide women with a cure, why didn't husbands do it instead of shelling out money for doctors? Well, maybe because it wasn't so simple. For doctors, treatments provided a steady source of income, but it was tiresome. It could take up to several hours and unpredictable in its success. Sometimes the woman had a hysterical paroxysm, sometimes she did not. To their great relief, a British physician, Dr. Joseph Mortimer Granville, invented the first vibrator in 1883. So now you understand where technology and the orgasm gets its title from. Turns out vibrators are among the most efficient means of stimulating women to orgasm. At first, they were restricted to doctors' use only, but as technology improved and their size got smaller, they were sold by retailers such as Sears, back then known as Sears, Roebuck and Company, and discreetly advertised in women's magazines of the time. And again, you can stop and read this, but I'll just tell you that the vibrator was one of the first appliances to be electrified, along with the toaster. They were as common as toasters. They were extremely popular by the end of the 19th century, and over a dozen manufacturers, GE among them, were making over 50 brands by the 1920s. Some used music along with vibrations, others used ultraviolet rays, and they were electrified a decade before the vacuum cleaner and the iron. Then what happened? They disappeared in 1920, likely because of a porn film that came out that year. Called Widow's Delight, it showed a woman having an orgasm using a vibrator. Uh-oh, the secret was out of the bag. Its purpose was revealed to be female pleasure, not medical healing, and thus it was banned. Female sexuality is a topic that men have traditionally been ambivalent about. They want women to want to have sex with them, but if a woman enjoys it, what does that make of her? Moreover, why would she need him if she can please herself with an appliance? So the men, after watching Widow's Delight, because back then only men watched porn, they figured out what the vibrator was for and they moved to have it banned. So the vibrator disappeared, and it didn't come back until the women's movement circa 1970s. Feminists played a big part in bringing it back by educating women about their sexual needs and the biology of female pleasure. Without feminists, it is hard to imagine the sexual revolution taking place. Books like this one, Our Bodies, Ourselves, played a huge role in enlightening women, as did the popularity of women's groups, which were formed for the purpose of educating each other about orgasms. So we've been talking a lot about orgasms, so I'm going to give you some comic relief. Did you hear about the man vending machine on the sidewalks of New Zealand? It was part of a campaign for a New Zealand women's website, and it effectively conveyed the website's theme: whatever you need, it's on us. All you need to do is press a button for various types of men, classic, romantic, foreign, and a man will emerge out of a vending machine with a bouquet of flowers under his arm. Sounds like a dream come true. So what's so funny? Besides classic, romantic, and foreign, there was a button to press for the ideal man. What was he? Tall, dark, handsome, and rich? Nope. Out popped a vibrator, much to the delighted laughter of the recipient. Unfortunately, despite our more enlightened times, writing books like Technology and Orgasm can still get you into trouble, as Rachel Maines found out. She was asked to leave the faculty of Cornell University because board members were uncomfortable with the topic. I often think that true gender equality will be marked by women's ability to initiate and enjoy sex to the same degree as men. Even if we run businesses and lead nations, if there's still a double standard for sexual agency and sexual pleasure, what really will we have gained? However, the fact that we aren't there yet makes for some troubling times. In a book that's on your list of suggested texts called Female Chauvinist Pigs, yes, Female Chauvinist Pigs, Ariel Levy describes how Girls Gone Wild makes her angry as she views the franchise as just another way that men exploit women for their own pleasure. Couching porn as sexual equality or sexual liberation ultimately undermines respect for women, she argues. Porn equals power. I don't think that equation was the one feminists had in mind when they started the sexual revolution, but we've seen it before in the roaring 20s, just after women got the vote. Women shortened their hair and their hemlines, took up smoking, drinking, and carousing with a vengeance. They were called flappers. My grandmother was a flapper. She has great pictures from back in the day. So what she taught me is that women's liberation connects to sexual liberation. But as we've seen, the outcome is not